You ready?
No. Ooh, there she blows. All right. Okay. All right. Let's get started.
At least this
Ned.
one has something to do with the sea. Last time you said that, we weren't even reading a book that had anything to do with the ocean.
This is about pirates. What are you drinking?
Oh, White Claw. Claw on it.
What flavor? What flavor?
Raspberry.
Ooh, I don't like raspberry. Welcome, Ned, to our podcast. This is called Sibs Read Smut. I'm Helen.
I'm Ned.
Thank you. This is a podcast where we read, rate, and review and tell jokes while discussing our favorite dirty romance books. Mostly. If you have suggestions or questions, feel free to reach out to us on the socials, Instagram and TikTok, hashtag @SibsReadSmut, or on email at sibsreadsmut@gmail.com. On today's podcast, we are discussing a book called The Summer We Fell by
Elizabeth
O'Rourke. Thank you. It's like, it's not Elsie Silver. Who is it? It's Elizabeth O'Rourke. Okay. Summer We Fell. Spoiler alert. We talk about these books start to finish. Beginnings, ending, twists are all fair game. If you haven't read the book and you want to, go ahead and pause. Otherwise, we're about to ruin it for you. If you want us to just ruin it and then decide if you want to read, stick around. So Ned wrote us a brief summary of this book. Very succinct, very honest. He wrote it with his own pen, very tight. So everybody be very nice to him about this. All right. Get ready. He's put a lot of effort in. Go ahead, Ned.
Okay. The Summer We Fell by Elizabeth O'Rourke. Juliet had a tough childhood, makes bad choices over and over and over while seeking stability, and also has the voice of an angel. Her boyfriend, Danny, the pastor's son, of course, is holier than thou and stuck up. Per usual. Don't worry, Luke, the shirtless surfer, shows up for a summer and sees through it all. Mr. Steal Your Girl. Hide your wife, hide your girlfriend. Luke is about to drop in and ride your girl with his longboard into the epic swells. Will they have a happy ending after all the trauma? Duh. Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course.
Well done, Helen. Very succinct.
Well done, Ned, for writing that and reading it out loud so well. My goodness.
Well,
Amazing.
as the crowd awaits with bated breath, cover watch. The
Yes.
Not my cup of tea. This is the shirtless surfer dude with the muscles that are
Will
fake and don't exist
put
in
it
real
here
life.
in between us? Will you show the cover?
I will. It'll whichever side it's on, and
Yeah.
when we end up editing this together.
I have had this book on my Kindle. It's on Kindle Unlimited, and so I've had it sitting on my Kindle for probably 2 years, and it just hasn't. I have not picked it up until now, and that shirtless surfer guy has just lived on my Kindle. Every time I open it, he's right there.
Just winking at Ben from the other side of the bed.
Yeah, I make sure to angle it and be like, should I read this? No. Should I read this? Yes. Yeah, that's my goal always. So a real human on a cover, you could never. Ned hates human covers. So it makes total sense to me that you didn't
ripped,
like it.
fake, AI generated hunks of man meat.
That is not fake, I don't think. There are real people that look like that. They just aren't in our family.
Not in my world.
I just don't know them personally, but I think there are people that look like that.
Well, there are some unique things about this book straight off the bat that I found within the first couple of pages it had two names on the cover, and so I thought it was going to be two readers. Two voice actors. So I thought it was going to be dual perspective. And this was unique in the way that it was actually a single perspective book told all from Juliet, the main character's point of view, but it was voice acted by a man and a woman. So Luke, the slow burn protagonist man in this was actually acted by a different male voice, which I liked for the most part. I thought it was good. It broke up her internal monologue a little bit, but
I needed it.
I wanted his perspective more too.
Apparently, there's a bonus chapter if you sign up for Elizabeth O'Rourke's newsletter, and you get like a bonus chapter from Luke's perspective.
Oh, I'd be interested to see that, just considering he, I don't know, kind of acted like a dipshit throughout most of this book, and and
Dare
and,
you?
and I would have liked to see what was going through his mind. I mean, she fucked
He
him
was in
over
good
a
company.
lot. Well,
Exactly.
and the story was also told on two separate timelines, so
Yeah.
it has the then time where they
Mm-hmm.
were in high school and early college, and the now, which is 7 years later down the line. And I thought
Yeah.
Elizabeth O'Rourke did a pretty good job at kind of blending these two timelines together and telling the story and keeping you a little on edge about what happens. Spoiler alert: Danny, the guy she's dating, dies, and we don't know how.
Ned.
and
That
and
is like they dangle that carrot through the whole book. You finally
yeah,
find out in like the last couple chapters.
and she's back in town and people don't want her back in town, and it's a very precarious situation for her, but it was the jumping back and forth between timelines broke it up a little bit, but she has not really changed all that much in the 7 years, so it's kind of the same voice back and
Mm-hmm.
forth. But I thought the story itself, jumping around, was told very well from the then and the now sections. I did
I
any of that.
needed the
Sorry, go ahead.
what?
I was gonna say, did any of that
Well,
register with you? The single
oh
perspective
yeah.
and the two timelines and everything else.
Absolutely. I liked the two timelines. I liked how you kind of went back and forth and so you could see, but I needed those two separate voices to really understand like back and forth, if that makes it. Like I'm so glad that there were two, like a male and a female voice, to just help me distinguish who the characters were. And there were technically two male main characters. So like when we can go through, I think we'll like kind of tell this the like earlier timeline first and then the later timeline, even though in the story they're like one and one and one and
Interwoven.
one. Yeah. And so she has a real tough childhood, which Ned wrote about in his intro. But like a very traumatic past. Like there was she was, I'm sure,
Physical and
raped,
sexual abuse.
yeah, abused by her older
Stepbrother.
by her stepbrother, and then her mom like didn't really believe her, and
She
anyways, just
also accidentally got her brother killed, by telling him to go to the
oh
police. He went to the police and got shot as he was coming out. So like the
yeah,
mom blamed Juliet
Juliet
for
for
his death as well. And
yeah,
when she reported the sexual abuse to her, she didn't believe her and kicked her out of the house and
yeah,
told her to get out. So that was very traumatic. And Danny, her boyfriend, took her in with the pastor's family and everything else. It was
yes.
oof.
So she was younger than Danny. So my understanding, at least, in this earlier timeline, so Juliet is like 15 or 16 when she ends up having to move in with the pastor's family. And I didn't know if she was dating Danny before that, or if when she moved in, then she and Danny started dating. I didn't know that. I couldn't
There
tell, or
was
I didn't
some
go back to.
overlap because down the line, when she was talking about, when she revealed to him that she was not a virgin and that
Oh
her
yes,
stepbrother had
the
been
trauma.
abusing her, he asked if there was overlap, and there was. So she was still being abused by the stepbrother while in the
Oh,
early
okay,
stages of her and Danny dating.
okay.
So yeah, and
Yeah, I
and I
didn't
mean,
go back to.
broad,
Go ahead.
yeah, broad strokes. She moves in with the pastor's family. Luke is now Danny's, her boyfriend's best friend in college. He comes home
So
for a
he
summer.
leaves for college. Yeah. But Juliet is
And
still
Luke,
home at the pastor's
yeah,
house.
correct. Juliet's still in high school. I mean, she's
Hmm.
16 or 17 at this point. Luke brings Danny, or Danny brings Luke back to the house for the summer, and
Yes.
they immediately make goo goo eyes at each other and fondle each other with their eyes. And but
She hates him at first. She thinks he's kind of a jerk.
she reacts so profoundly to him, and he does to her, that they kind of just need to like convince themselves to stay away from each other. But
Hmm.
they pine after each other for years and years and years, and then Luke is always protecting her. And if there's a fight or there's someone, at one point she's riding her bike home and two guys in a car,
Yeah.
like
Try and grab
knock her off
her.
the bike and try and grab her. Luke is the one that goes and finds the guy and beats the crap out of him. I mean, there
Mhm.
is an undercurrent of menace throughout this whole book
He
because,
goes and beats the abusive brother,
yeah,
and
beats the abusive
that was a
brother,
big deal.
beats and Danny too, the dickbag Danny, tells Luke why he needs to go beat the brother up, and
Yeah.
he reveals his, Juliet's secrets to Luke.
Yes.
Um, I I
And Luke
I
also, I the only times, so she moves into this pastor's family, and it's just the stereotypical like pastor's family of like the pastor's kind of a dirtbag and treats his, well, I'm sure he thinks he's amazing, but like he goes to church every week and preaches about how great he is because he took in this
Juliet,
girl who had
yeah,
Juliet, but he took in this girl who had so many needs and she was being abused. And basically, like they, like the whole community knew that this family took Juliet in. So every Sunday he's preaching and he's basically like telling these stories of like her life stories to the church. Everybody knows that it's about her, but he's like, there's a girl, you'll never know who it is, but it's very obvious. And so he treats his wife too. The pastor's wife is just a doormat. What's her, Donna, I think her name
Donna.
is. I the Luke and Juliet end up like loving Donna and thinking very highly of her in like the later
Well,
timeline.
she did
I never
take care
got
of
it.
them. She did
I
take
get
care
it,
of
but
them.
like, but there was so much where she just assumed she'd be like, "Oh, Juliet, why don't you help me in the kitchen with dinner while the boys go and watch TV and have a
Well,
beer and sit on
in
the
the
porch?" Like,
end, she admitted that she needed Juliet around to help her to kind of keep her world stable. She admitted to all of that down the line. But even with that, she still gave her a home and loved her as well as she could. I didn't find any of the characters in this book particularly likable,
yeah,
and there was really no banter to speak of either. Like there was no,
mm-mm.
like everyone was just arguing or pissed at each other or not understanding what the other person was saying 90% of the time. There was no
Yeah.
witty repartee. There was no back and forth. I mean, it was real just trauma porn for the most part.
It was very traumatic. And then my whole point of bringing up the pastor's family was that the pastor would say something to Juliet like, "Oh, well, you just need to find a husband and settle down and, you'll just move to Nicaragua with Danny and help him open an orphanage in the name of the church." And she like has a beautiful voice, wants to go to LA, wants to be a singer. She has all these dreams. And the pastor, Danny, her current boyfriend, and Donna, the mom, all are like, "Oh, sweetie, that's not realistic. Like, you'll just stick around here. You'll marry Danny. You'll just live this little tiny life." And Luke comes and sees through it all. And he's like, "No, she has dreams. She has this. Like, she needs to go live out these big dreams that she has." And so that's, to your point, none of these characters are very likable. I mean, at the end of the day, one of your most hated things, you hate books about cheating.
Absolutely.
Um, I was like, "Oh, Ned's gonna have a tough time with this one," because it was
I
all Luke shows up and sort of falls
I
in love with Juliet,
Yeah.
but she's with Danny, and she's, because of her trauma and her past, she's just seeking stability, and this family's offering it to her. It's not like what she wants, but she just wants a stable family life.
I did have
So,
a hard time with it for most of the plot.
mhm.
I did not like the sneaking around. I did not like the fact that even when Luke was being a dick and like forcing her to make a decision, the fact that they still weren't talking to each other about everything. I mean, it took until literally 98% through the book before
Yeah.
she actually told him the truth about a lot of fucking things that
Hmm.
he should have known the whole time. And she played a lot of things close to the vest. She went down to LA and literally like hoarded herself to get her first album made and stuff.
She did.
I mean,
Oh,
oh yeah, she was talking about sleeping with producers and sleeping with people to get
oh.
jobs, and like, it was she was like, I just did whatever I had to do to, single-minded focus to get ahead. And I mean, more power to you, girl, live your dream. But she was ruined throughout this whole experience until she finally was like,
Emotionally. Yeah.
emotionally started banging Luke again in the now timeline, which the then timeline is a series of events, lots of Luke protecting her, Luke in the background, always there. Luke is, doing these surf competitions. You find out that she's helping him with money. She bought him his first board so he can become a professional surfer. You find out she was
With the money
buying,
she makes at the diner.
yeah,
Like she's not.
she was buying more food for him with her own personal
Yeah.
money because the Donna wouldn't didn't want to ask the pastor for more money because they were poor too, and all the way through until until Danny dies and he decides he wants to be as good a surfer as Luke and jumps off this cliff with his board and kills himself. Whether it was
Yeah. He's
suicide
not.
or
Yeah.
whatever, or him trying to prove something, he ended his own life. And the whole reason why she stayed away this whole time was because she felt responsible. She was such a martyr in this book too. She was a doormat most of the time and a
Mm-hmm.
martyr, and by the end I was really like, oof. But I think I had that visceral reaction to it because Elizabeth O'Rourke is a good writer.
Very good writer.
I did enjoy her prose. I wish there was more banter. I wish there was some sunniness in this book. There was little to no happy sunshine in this.
Yeah.
That being said, she made me viscerally react to these characters, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's good. And yes, if I was like, for the recommendations at the end, if you like great angsty cheating plots, then this book's for you. Ain't really my
Yeah.
cup of tea. I mean,
Yeah. It's that's like one of your biggest pet
yeah,
peeves.
I
I
really
knew
don't
that when
like
I
that.
was reading it. I was like, "Oh, Ned's gonna have a tough time with this
Well,
one."
and this is
Not that I like love it, but I'm like, okay,
well, and this was one of the first times that you actually finished the book before I did. So you you were
I
texting me
know.
like buckle up, like you're. Um, well,
Yeah.
and so Danny dies. So that's like the then plot line is like all the way from her and Luke's, and they're over multiple years. I mean, this is like 3 or 4
Mm-hmm.
years of them hanging around each other and avoiding each other, and then towards the end they start sleeping together and are behind Danny's back. And then the now timeline is Danny's dead 7 years later.
Mm-hmm.
They both come back at Donna's behest because she has cancer and she's dying, to open up an orphanage that they've both been funding with their proceeds from professional surfer and a professional singer. And they both come back to this small town to for the opening, for the gala event and the opening of this
Mm-hmm.
thing. There's more asshole characters. Grady, who is another pastor in training, is a
Mm-hmm.
dickbag the entire book. Hillary is the new CEO of this orphanage place, and she's a real ball busting hag. And then you and then you have uh, Libby, who's another kind of just Donna in training, being a
Yeah.
pushover pastor's wife, and once again, none of these Libby, she's a doormat too, but she was the only likable character I thought, really. She
Yeah.
was kind of just sweet, but then they're spending a lot of time together. They start sleeping together again and
Mm-hmm.
doing it a lot. And then the gala
In
happens, and
Donna's house.
in Donna's
Be
house, and
across the
gay
hall from
and
Donna.
Juliet is technically dating another dude named Cash, who just
Cash.
recently
Yeah.
physically abused her and was caught on camera.
On camera. Like a
And
very Jay-Z situation. He pulled hit her in an elevator and dragged her off the elevator by her hair, and it was all on security tape and it got released. So the whole country saw her being, or the whole world, I
abused,
guess, saw her being abused.
which
And she
that was a satisfying moment at the end where Cash
yeah.
shows up to the event because Hillary thought it would provide more hoopla to the gala
Yeah.
event, and Luke just immediately punches him right in the face. I was like,
Right in the
yeah.
face. Yeah, I know. You like that.
I did love that.
But I
All his
think
ass kicking, I enjoyed.
yeah. To your point of Elizabeth O'Rourke being an amazing writer and very good with the prose, she writes trauma really well, unfortunately. But these characters were incredibly human and honest
Real, yeah.
and real in their trauma, and the most basic. I'm not a trauma therapist by any means, and I don't even pretend to be, but like like my understanding of trauma is that it's an event that happens, and whether you know it or not in your subconscious, it like affects the decisions that you make in every way moving forward. And so that's how I, in like looking at Juliet's choices and the way that she like throughout the rest of her life, like she's had these really traumatic events happen, and she makes these choices whether she's aware of it or not, that are like not great choices for her to
or
heal,
the people around her.
or the people around her. I know she like hardcore. Like I can give her a great therapist recommendation. I know a few trauma therapists that I'd love to connect her with, but yeah. I to your point, an incredible writer where it felt really honest to the point where I was like, God, I want to get this girl like a referral. I want to help her see her, be able to process her
Yeah,
experiences.
and in that
Um,
regard, I also like mostly we read these books for escape. So like
mhm,
having that visceral kind of real experience is not particularly what I'm looking for. So
yeah,
I was like, ooh, it was gritty, it was real, it was real.
it
And
was very
but
gritty.
I heard this
Do
thing
you
the
think the sex scene saved it?
no. No, I mean
Okay.
there's some good stuff in there, but no, I
Yeah.
mean there was there's sex scenes were a little spicy, but
Hmm.
I don't think that any amount of boning would have solved the character, the inherent real life character issues that they were dealing with. But I saw a video the other day where a guy was talking about trauma, and he was saying that if you have a glass of water and I piss in it and then put a bunch of sugar in there, that doesn't take the piss out.
Hmm.
That's like dealing with trauma.
It's with
Just
you
putting more
forever.
sugar on top of a bad
Hmm.
situation is not going to solve the bad situation. You're not dealing with until you actively get the piss out of the water. There's still going to be piss in the water. I thought that was a
Yeah.
very apt kind of metaphor for gross, but apt
Well, and
metaphor
like
for how to deal with stuff.
I feel like when I'm reading most of our smut books, I think of other smut books. Like I've been like thinking about like, oh, the Western novels. Oh, there's so many ranch books where they're horsing. And this book made me think of my workbooks of like, gosh, she really needs to read, The Body Keeps the Score. Like about trauma living in the body and like how that all like affect. I'm like, why is this making me? I was thinking of workbooks the whole time and
Well,
not like other fun reads.
I just kept thinking, y'all motherfuckers need therapy. Like like y'all motherfuckers. I was just shouting that at some points during this
Hmm.
book. Like get some
Yeah.
help, goddamn. But
Yeah.
they that I mean I think it's a testament to, like I said, The Sopranos mom and other things.
Mhm.
You have these visceral reactions to some of this stuff because it's so well written. Um, a fair amount of smelling in this book, FYI.
Tell me, because I
Um,
didn't notice.
Danny smells her, and she smells like
Oh,
cheeseburgers from the diner where she works. Uh,
poor girl.
she smells Luke pretty constantly, and it's sunscreen,
Yeah.
salt, and shampoo are the main
Mm,
smells she catches off him.
okay.
There's a lot of whiffs in there. I didn't mark down each one because there was actually enough
Mhm.
sex chapters where I was like, okay, I'm not going
Yeah.
to note the smelling. Like other books where there isn't a whole lot of sex, I noted all the smelling instances
Yeah.
just to make sure that you caught them all.
They go right over my head. It doesn't even phase me.
Oh man, the oh yeah, undercurrent the undercurrent of menace. There was a lot of just underhanded things going on in here where like the two guys in the car catching her on the bike. I
Hmm.
think we mentioned that already. But there's all these little things that just are going wrong wrong constantly in her
Hmm.
life. Grady is just this imposing presence who is God this, God that, and he's the preacher, the preacher in training. He gets caught sucking a dude's dick on the beach, and
In
and
the at like towards the end of the then like, but he
yeah,
makes all these like he was making gay jokes and like really sort of
saying they
off
should be
color stuff.
arrested. Yeah, saying the gays
Yeah,
should be arrested and
and
all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
like even Juliet's like, well, why do you care? It doesn't affect you. Like, what is your big problem with it? And of course, now we know he was so loud about it because he was gay, or having these tendencies, things that he couldn't, um, you know,
Shocking. An ultra religious person turns out to be gay.
oh, believe it or not.
Hot take.
I know. So, and he's so mean about it that you're kind of like, there's something there. And so it comes out later. And then is that why Danny died? Was
Oh no!
Because he and
So
Grady were fighting on the beach,
yeah,
but they were fighting about
they.
Juliet. What were they fighting about?
I don't know. I don't know what they. Let me see
Because
if
Libby
it's.
came to her at the very end. We're just getting straight into the ending. We haven't even talked about the sex scenes yet. But the ending is when you really find out like what happened to Danny. And I guess Libby, who is dating Grady or married to Grady, whatever, ends up coming to Juliet in the police station and saying, like, I need to be honest with you about this. Like,
I told the
I
police.
know. Yeah, like, well, so then there's some in like the now timeline, there's a reporter that shows up who knows way more about the night that Danny died than she was expecting her to. She thought it was gonna be like a fluff piece on Danny's place, the orphanage, and it wasn't. She was like, "So where were you? And who were you talking to? And who all was there? And what were you doing?" And so she starts to get nervous, like, "Oh my God, they're gonna try to arrest me for Danny's death at this gala." And she was not there, but she again blames herself more in the like sense of I pissed him off.
I caused him to run
Yeah,
off and everything.
he caught them cheating. I think he saw like heard them
He caught them
talking or saw
kissing on
them
the beach.
kissing.
Yeah.
And so he caught Luke and Juliet kissing. And so he was very upset about it. And then that night he dies. So she blames herself. And so now in the current timeline, this reporter's coming around asking questions and being really suspicious. And so then, yada, yada, Luke hits Cash, gets arrested. She also goes
They both
she
get
gets
arrested.
They both get arrested. And so then she ends up getting out somehow. And then Libby, Grady's wife or girlfriend, comes to the police station. She's like, I have to tell you, I just told the police this. Now I have to tell you what there was like a big kerfuffle between Danny and Grady on the beach right before everything
Everyone thought it
went
was
down.
Danny and Luke, and it was not Luke.
Yes.
It was Danny and Grady, and they were
Yes.
arguing. I don't know if they ever specifically talked about what it was actually about. I mean,
I thought
the
she said, because I think it was like
the
they wanted
supposition
to.
is that Danny was in love with no, that Grady was in love with Danny this entire time, and that's why he
Yes.
hated Juliet so much.
And he didn't want Danny and Juliet to go to Nicaragua to open this. He didn't want them to take the money and like go to Nicaragua to open an orphanage. He wanted them to stay there because he wanted to like
Be close to them or whatever.
be close. Yeah, he didn't want Danny to leave. So that was
Yeah, well, and
just
then
another like, okay.
yeah, but then Donna lies for them at the end and says
Yeah,
that Danny called
called her.
her and said that he wanted to try this very dangerous surfing jump off a cliff maneuver into the swells, and then died because of it. So the cops let everyone out, and it's like lying is just these motherfuckers' bread and butter. Like it's she lies to the cops back in the then time.
Mm-hmm.
She keeps her mouth shut during the now time. She's lied to Luke this entire time about her feelings and everything else. It's very just lie heavy and centric, and the cheating and the lying really just
Your
grinded on
favorites.
my last fucking nerves.
Yeah.
And it was yeah, there was not in these books, I usually write "ha ha" next to the funny lines, and so that I can highlight all my notes where the funny stuff is. In this one, I had to use "ha ha" for all of the just shit that I wanted to highlight, because, and so there's nothing actually funny in this book. Like
There's not a lot. Yeah.
director Lady Hillary is a dragon lady. Her
Mm-hmm.
self-flagellation is tiresome. Along with the single perspective. There's just it's yeah, it's a trauma porn to the extreme. I did love Luke punching all of her abusers. That was fun for me.
Anyone who was like terrible to Juliet, he'd be like, "Oh, that's nice. Okay, I have to go."
Bam.
And then you'd like hear it'd be like, "Oh," she was like, "Oh, I thought I saw his Jeep drive through town." And then the next day her brother's beaten up. Like, it's
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
but then there's
hmm."
there's honest, and then there's honest to a fault. Like Juliet knew that if she allowed Luke to go to the police station directly after Danny's death, that he would probably admit to something that would make him look very guilty and put him in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
he would just never do that. Never protect himself in any way. And that is,
Oh, he had a lot of like pride, and
and it was so just
for him,
the
honesty was
the honesty, but also there's honesty, and then there's this kind of brutal form that he was practicing it.
martyrdom.
Yeah, and it was like yeah, martyrdom to a certain degree, but I I just didn't like it. Did not. I liked him punching people in the face to protect her. I did not love his holier than thou attitude, and even though he's not religious either, it's just his I'm better than you because I am facing my demons every day, and I don't care about dying, and I care about you more. And it's like, I fuck you, dude.
Yeah. He didn't have a great sense of self-preservation.
Yeah,
He was he was like, yeah, well,
jumping
I
off
did it,
cliffs.
so I'm going to take autonomy or hold myself accountable for all of it. But yeah, let's talk about the sex scenes.
Okay.
Let's bring this podcast back to its roots.
Let's get it on. And there were a fair amount of them. I mean, and
Mhm.
I started small, literally Danny's penis,
Okay.
and
Danny's penis. He did have a small penis.
and went to the humongous Luke, elephant cock
Longboard.
longboard. So 9% in, which you may or may not agree, but I said boner alert, front seat chub. That was when she starts making out with Danny in the truck, because she's like,
Oh.
I see everybody else making out at parties, and I want to make out too. So she starts making out with him and can feel his boner, and then he pushes her off and is like, I want to wait for marriage, and so do you. Just making all these assumptions about who Juliet is, and I'm like, okay, which is a precursor to a couple scenes later. 17% in, we have bathroom wanger gazing, where Luke is wearing a towel and she's
Oh
banging on
yeah,
the
yeah.
door because she wants to shower, and he just lets his
Mhm.
towel fall off, staying there rock hard, like look at this, and it's
She
weird,
gets
and
the tingles.
and Luke is being a douche, again, just like forcing her to face parts of herself, but also in a really smarmy way. I'm like,
Yeah.
yuck, did not like.
Well, and she literally like I think there was a really like introspective Goodreads review about like she has like sexual trauma in her history. And so for then Luke to be pretty like forward and aggressive with his sexuality with her, like it wasn't like he talked to her and that was her preference, and he was just sexually kind of aggressive with her, not in a like an aggressive way, but like he just let his dick hang out and was like, look at this.
Yeah. Well, and we don't know what happened in his past, because he has a pretty rough upbringing
Yeah.
as well, where there was some
Hmm.
physical abuse. I don't know. I don't think it was sexual, but there was definitely physical abuse in his
Yeah.
past trauma. But it was. They dealt with it in very, very different ways. She shut down, and
Hmm.
he went full steam ahead, mainly with his cock. Um,
Into
many,
lots of
many vaginas.
hoo-has. Yes.
28% in, we have what I call the chair beaver assault, where she grinds on him in this backyard
Danny.
party on Danny, and
Yes.
he jizzed in his pants.
I love that because she walks away and she's like, wait, did I rape him?
Yeah.
She, he made her feel so bad about it. He was like, I can't believe you did that.
When
You're
he pushed
disgusting.
her off
He
and like
pushed her
pushed her
off
onto the
like
ground.
like really physically. And yeah. And then
And
she was like, "Ugh,
she's
I
like, I,
raped
I
him."
sexually assaulted him, and
Yeah.
but this made me think of the scene from She's Out of My League, where he wouldn't where Jay Burchall or whatever Bernhall would not stand up to meet her parents, Alice Eve's parents, in the book or in the movie, because they'd been grinding on the couch and he came in his pants, and he didn't want to stand up to shake hands, even though he knew her parents were traditional, so they kind of broke up about it. And at the very end, he's like, things were getting hot and heavy, and I've never really been with a woman as beautiful as you. So, I came in my pants. I was sitting there with an oyster in my shorts, and And I'm like, that's exactly what happened to Danny. And that made me laugh because it made me think of something else that was actually funny and not just
Yeah.
this kind of abusive scene, on his part, not hers. The pushing off pretty violently was an overreaction to making him come in his pants. 38% in, I had nip, pinch, and finger blast. It was pretty sexy. No condos. This is in the then, or no, then this is in the now
Now.
section.
Yeah, this is when they first fuck
In
after they
yeah,
come back
after
together with
they
Donna.
reunite in Donna's house under her roof.
Reunited.
And then she asks him to leave afterwards, and his feelings all hurt. His one feeling that he has. And then 46% in, I had Juliet's addicted to that Wang. She's smelling him again. Soap and salt, thick steel rod. But it's also pretty. All these sex scenes were relatively short. They were a little sexy, but they were.
Again, they're in Donna's house, and so she she wants, so she sends him away. His feelings get hurt, but then she spends all the rest of her time being like, why isn't he coming back? Why can't he just, I want him to come back tonight. That's not fair. So she eventually then is a little bit more honest with him, and he does, of course, come back.
When they start spending every night together. With 57. Oh, this was a pretty traumatic one. This 57% was Danny busts out, where Danny and Juliet have sex for the first time, and he pressures her into it. She does not want to do it. This was
not with him.
Not with him. Well, with him.
Well, she's in her internal monologue is I'm curious about sex. She sees Luke, engaging with all of these women. And part of it is, I think she wants to be with Luke, but also part of it is just, she's a 17, 18-year-old chick who is
likes drinking beer and penis.
She wants to, yeah. What 17-year-old girl doesn't like a little Pabst Blue with their dick? Tap the Rockies.
You are mixing up your beer slogans.
Whatever. Obviously, I was a really cool 17-year-old, but I think she's curious, and so she wants to pursue this. But now she's had these two very weird sexual experiences with Danny, and so now he's suddenly being like, "Let's do it! Finally, let's have sex. Let's do it." And he's
chugging shots and everything else.
Yeah. She was staying sober, and he was like, "Let's get drunk," and she's like, "No," and
well,
they had sex.
He's fumbling and bad at it.
Yeah.
He can barely put a condom on, and she's thinking about her stepbrother doing it better, which was very fucking weird. And he asked if she finished, which was it was 30 seconds of a little bit of in out, no foreplay, no nothing. Yeah. And then Danny throws it in her face and is like, "I bet you finished with your stepbrother," and it was like, oof.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Like I said, nobody's likable in this.
Yeah, it was a tough.
That was a tough read.
Tough swallow.
Good one, Helen. Top-notch comedy. Oh man.
Next.
All right, next one. 59%. Very. So now we're back in the now. I just called this one simply Boner Garage, which is also a tattoo that some dirty women get above their cooters. But
what?
They
actually get a garage tattooed on their
with an arrow pointing down to their beeve. How
do you know about that? I've never heard of that.
There was a movie where literally she had it tattooed on her and was like, look. But yeah, it's a joke, Helen.
I've seen Slippery When Wet with the arrow. Like people getting that like
Have
road
have
sign.
you seen the little stick man with the lawnmower shaving the pubes like he's cutting grass going across?
You should get that in your butt hair.
No. but
Really
but
funny.
she's pining for him after they're watching this WW2 movie that has her all hot and bothered about, and then they go outside to the garage and he's like just wanging her up against this garage, and then Donna comes home and parks in the garage and he's like, "Shut up, woman, honk honk honk," and it's like, oof, okay, not great.
I don't remember
And
that
then
one.
Donna's giving interviews to this woman too during that time, and it was like, this is all of this is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And then 63% is the first instance of cheating, the Beach Woods makeout, where he attempts to
In the first timeline.
in the then timeline, the he rides Mavericks and wipes out on a big wave and cuts himself up pretty bad, and she runs off into the forest all hot, all bothered, and he runs and finds her and then like throws her up against a tree and just mouth sexes her. um the and I was like, oh, that was the first instance of like where they dove into their feelings together and
Yeah.
actually took it past just pining for each other. 70% couch digit docking. This is in the then timeline too. Oh, and there's a beach finger blast cheat session too that was in there as well. Let me go highlight for that for posterity.
Yeah,
Pretty
for the
hot.
Smithsonian.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she obviously, every time they have sex up until 97% in, she feels terrible afterwards and hates herself even more and really, just shuts down another part of herself. So finger blast, beach finger blast cheat session, and then couch digit docking. They're on this. This is the time when they actually start sleeping together, full on cheating on Danny during the then timeline while they're on this spring break trip where Danny eventually dies. And it's there's lots of mouth stuff. They're going for multiple round two. I just called him an orgasm sorcerer at one point. You know, yeah, and then 74% I call non-consensual pocket pool, where he just like starts touching her and she just eventually gives in, which like she always does, but this was with Luke. And I'm like, this is also not great, this is also not ideal, whatever. 76% was in the then timeline, clean that sandy vagine. Shower sex in the thing next door. I always thought that Grady was going to catch them in one of these instances, but he only overheard the Danny argument where Danny saw them kissing. Grady never actually caught them. I thought he was going to
She
be
caught Grady.
I know, but I thought Grady was going to be holding more over her, and it ended, and she held all the cards, and it was a little weird that she was still being so martyry about leaving town and taking him at his word and whatever else. And Grady also was the liar the whole time, because he said that Luke and Danny were arguing, and it was him and Danny that were arguing. So it was like that was a lie to begin with, and we never do find out if anything happened with him. We find out that Libby, his pregnant wife, leaves him, but we never find out and if he ends up getting charged or if anything ever happens with him. 79%, very aggressive cock gobbling. That no notes on that one. Just he's
No
like,
notes. Good.
yeah,
Okay.
he's just like suck it and rams it in her face hole.
I don't even know if you're talking about Danny or Luke at this point. It doesn't even matter.
Most of these are Luke at this point.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, Danny didn't do anything past the weird sex talking about the weird stepbrother sex, going on. And
Mhm.
then yeah, and I mean, and that pretty much gets us to the end, which was like 97% pretty steamy bedroom bone sesh. They argue and bone, which seems to be their entire, you know,
MO.
mo relationship, and it's like okay, fair enough, and they live heavily happily ever after at that point, and get their
Mhm.
hammock and beach condo and whatever, and all
Donna
their
dies.
all their issue. Donna passes away, after seeing the orphanage set up,
Orphanage.
and
Yeah.
but like they seemingly live happy ever after, and no one learned anything, and no one became a better person.
Yeah.
Very real in that instance.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
I
it. That's
I
the book.
yeah.
It does make me interested. Like it's on so many lists. And it is part of a series. So this is the first book of like the summer series, I think, for Elizabeth O'Rourke. And she has a lot of series that people really love. There's like The Devil in
They're not numbered
something.
though. Like on Goodreads, I was going to
Yeah, it
see.
is. It's the summer number one.
I didn't. That was not the Goodreads I was looking at.
Well, you must have a different Goodreads. Um,
Oh,
but
weird. It's
they
on the website. It's not on the app because I was looking on the app to see if there was a second book, which
there is.
arguably probably would not read. Uh,
That was
maybe.
my question to you. Would you read the rest of this series?
Eh.
Yes, it is right there. It's right there. The summer number one.
I wasn't looking at my screen. I was looking at Goodreads, trying to figure out if I would read the next one. Depends on who the characters are. I don't know. I actually have
Caleb.
I have the Grumpy Devils books on my want to read list. I might switch over to that. Because I even read, I saw that there was another summer book, even though I didn't know it was part of the series, but the
Hmm.
name should have clued me in. But I was looking at it and I'm like, oh, single mom and all this piney stuff again, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, these aren't.
I think it's all the whole summer series. I have a feeling is trauma heavy. It's just a
These
lot of
aren't marathon books. These are, you gotta get
no.
you gotta get over it.
And they're not even beach reads. They're not like things that I would enjoy reading on like a vacation.
No, well, it's well written, and
It's
everything else,
tough.
but it's a tough it's a tough read. The Yeah, I don't know if I would read. I don't know if I'd have to space them out a lot if I was to go
Yeah.
read book 2 or book 3, because I think there's
The
what
Grumpy Devils.
4 or 5.
There's 5 summer books. The Grumpy Devils is one of her other series that people really like.
That's why I said is on my
Waking,
list.
yeah, Waking Olivia is a standalone. People like that one. Honestly, one of my favorite things is her bio on Goodreads for Elizabeth O'Rourke. It's literally reads Elizabeth O'Rourke lives in Washington, D.C. with her 3 children. After many years spent writing scintillating brochures about amniocentesis and heart surgery, she is thrilled to have found a job that allows her to just make shit up. That's it. That's
Yeah,
her whole bio on Goodreads.
that's pretty great.
So I was like, that's actually a fantastic Goodreads bio. So I do. I mean, I like her as an author. So I need to try some of her other stuff. And I feel like I've read something else by her, but I can't find it now on my Goodreads.
Yeah, I want to say
Um,
I was looking at her list of books, and I think this is the only one that I've read of hers. I have a couple of them
yeah,
on my want to read list, but I
maybe that's
this
what
is
I'm
the
thinking
only
of.
one
Yeah.
that I've actually read. Well, we have come to that time of the episode where we have our new semi-new feature, a
Mm-hmm.
Mad Lib, and we have gone a different route this time because everyone who we texted to get clues went dirty because they know us and they know what our podcast is about. We have now written a non-smutty surfing Mad Lib. And Helen, do you want to introduce it and give it a read?
I will. So this the clues were sent, or what are they? Prompts? What
Prompts.
the clues were sent to one of my book club friends, Shilpa, who's a super fan of the podcast. And one of my favorite she will text me after a podcast to like philosophically discuss topics that we that we talk about here, which is hilarious. She's
Yep.
I adore Shilpa. She is one of just the most incredible people that I know. She's so herself. Love, it's just fantastic. But I
Stop
love Shilpa.
jizzing all over her.
I love her. She's so great. But she texted me a couple weeks ago about the idea of you and how fan fiction has become like way too outrageous, and
Prevalent or
yeah, and people really like it, but people also used to make fun of people who like loved boy bands. It's like a joke. And she's like, but then there's this fan fiction, everybody's jizzing themselves over this fan fiction and the dissonance between the two. Anyway, so and so I've been in this is my book club. We call ourselves a club, and I've been with them for 13 years, and they're the best. So shout out to the book club. I know you guys listen, and they like forced us to do this, or they encouraged me to
start this podcast.
Yeah, because I was for sure the one dragging my feet on getting it started. So anyway, shout out to the book club for making this podcast really happen. So anyway, okay, so I'm gonna read this Mad Lib with Shilpa's responses. This is called Wipeouts and Wax. All right. It was an artistic morning when the sun kissed my ears and the blustery breeze whispered promises of epic swells. I was already swimming toward the beach, board under arm and a heart full of sandwich. The tide looked gnarly, and I felt exuberant, like the ghost of Kelly Slater had just flipped into my soul. I slipped into my sarong, waxed my board like a true sea urchin wrangler, and chugged a bottle of face serum for courage. Clash! I shouted as I paddled out. A wave ended behind me, bigger than a likable tsunami. I popped up feeling like the king of the tennis ball. But then, slay, I forgot to sleep my board, and suddenly I was face first in the water, tangled in seaweed and chewing on soggy Cheetos. I surfaced with my tibia burning and my pride chasing, only to realize I had sludge stuck in my hair. And still, it was the best day ever.
Yeah,
some of those actually fit.
I know.
Good job, Shilpa.
We are having real problems with people writing stuff that actually fits into the prompts.
I know.
It's
It's supposed to be.
like,
we
hey-
need to have mom and dad do this again.
Hey, ChatGPT, like, give us more basic prompts. You know.
Yeah, like people are nailing it without even.
Good job, Shilpa.
knowing.
It was fun. I did laugh when I put it in ChatGPT and was copying it into our document earlier.
And chugged a bottle of face serum
Face
for courage.
I was feeling like the king of the tennis ball.
Heart full of sandwich.
Heart full of sandwich. You know, just the best kind of heart.
That's the best heart.
So,
All right.
Wrapping it up, would you recommend this book?
Whew.
No, tough question.
I know. And I don't think I think I'm going to dance around answering it by saying I would recommend it to the right person. Like if this is something that you enjoy and you want, I would recommend it with the trigger warnings of like, there's a shit ton of trauma. There's lots of cheating. There's lots of lying. There's an undercurrent of not fun menace, but just like a negative undercurrent of menace. I would. It's not long. I will say it's like 900 or 9 hours.
Yeah.
So
yeah, at the rate we listened, about 4.5. But yeah.
Yeah. So it's not a hard book. It's a hard book topic wise to get through, but it's not like a 900-page tome. Like it's a accessible trauma porn if that's your style.
It's accessible length.
It's an accessible length. So I do think there are people out there who would enjoy this book. And obviously they are because it's got a great rating on Goodreads.
I mean, it's on a lot of lists. I mean,
it's
it's out there. And while I don't love the subject material and I did not identify with any of the characters, and whatever, she is a good author. She is a good writer.
Excellent writer.
And
Yeah.
so if it's not this series, then try some of her other books. I would say absolutely read Elizabeth O'Rourke as an author.
Yes.
This series, if you don't identify with any of the stuff that we've talked about in this entire fucking episode, then maybe read some of her other stuff, because
the
this was
Grumpy Devils
this is a tough listen. This was this had a lot of issues going on. Where would you put this on the Smutometer?
I mean, there was a lot of sex, but it wasn't like
the kung fu, action scenes of El Kennedy,
Yeah.
or, pucking around, where it was pretty much, just like a how-to guide for
fun sex. It was like, oof. Okay.
a lot of it was angry or, fast and dirty.
Sandy.
Oof.
I would say medium.
Yeah,
I mean, it was explicit. Like, it wasn't like the scenes were very much open door, but they weren't
long. They were quick.
Yeah.
They were real quick instances of graphicness and so a little spicy, but I'd waffle between medium and medium plus, because there were a fair amount of scenes in there. The rest of the trauma surrounding it would probably take it to like a medium minus almost, but I'd say hard medium.
Okay, thank you for the visual. Lovely.
Do you know what we are reading next week?
Oh my God. Scandalized? Am I right? Am I right?
Scandalized by Ivy Owens.
Yeah. It's like the first one I've gotten all season. I loved this book.
It's a virginal reading for me. I have not.
I know.
I'm
excited to have you read it. This was introduced to me. This book, Scandalized, was introduced to me as like a great smut, not starter book, but like a real, like once you're getting into the smut novels, like I just think it's a standalone. It's not part of a series. And it's,
I don't think I've read any Ivy Owens. So sometimes you'll put a book on here where it's like it's an author that I've read, but I haven't read
not that one.
That book.
I don't know if she's written much else. I mean, I know this is like, I'm sure she's written a few books, but I think this is one of her like biggest ones. I'm excited for you to read this one. I think you're gonna like it.
We can talk about this after the podcast ends, but have we put it on any of the libraries yet? Have we actually rented this book? Because we probably should do that, but we can discuss that off air.
Yeah, I'll have my intern work on it.
Yeah, get our people, talk to your people.
Yeah, I'll have the people talk to the people.
Well, so
right, take us out, Ned.
Next week's podcast, we got Scandalized by Ivy Owens. If you're liking our bullshit, please, laugh with us, joke with us, hit that like, rate, subscribe, buttons, whatever.
Let's work through our trauma together.
Yeah. Ugh. No, do not want to hear about your trauma. Helen does. I do not.
I've got a great referral for you. If you need one.
Yes. If that gets our email traffic up, please email Helen your trauma. But generally shower us with praise, please.
Yeah, mostly shower us with praise.
We are coming into the tail end of this season, folks. So we have 2 episodes left in this season, and then we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back hard and heavy in a couple of months. But for now, thank you for listening. Tune in next week. Thank you, Smutters.
Thank you, Smutters. Stay smutty.
Stay smutty.
Hang loose. Hang 10.